Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Darkest Dungeon. Let's see, where were we? We got a free weapon upgrade as an event, and so I think what we're mostly doing here is we're trying to see if we can take our A team to defeat bosses, or maybe we can't do that so much as we would take maybe one level 6 character and then a bunch of level 2 characters to level up. So let's start with, this is the lowest level boss fight, which would be a medium. So if we were to take a bunch of level 2 characters in with this, probably don't want the shield guy. Interesting, you can't really sort these manually. Like, do I have another one of these arbalists? Probably not. This is a highwayman. Okay, so arbalist is unique. Do I have another gravedigger? Probably not. See, there really is only enough room for like one of each character. So if we put her at the front, her lunge attack wouldn't work. And see, that's the thing I think I'd like to change. I don't know why by default this one switched from this, because this has a base damage of 100, this has a base damage of 105, so technically it does more attack, but it then moves you, so you can only really do it once, and then you are just constantly having to use the this is damage mod minus 15, this is damage mod plus 40%. Oh, so it does quite a lot more damage. The problem, I guess, is just that it doesn't really work other than as a way of moving your character around. Yeah, it just kind of feels like there should be something else that this character has. And that may just be a limiting factor on that character. And so, with that character not using the lunge attack, maybe then we could have this level 3 character, since we're not doing anything else. But then if we take the level 3 character, we probably don't need to take a level 6 character. And I guess the question might boil down to, is it better to just have a level 6 character? And I think the answer is probably no. Like, I think what really happens here is that you want things that would all get resolved. We'd want hero classes and characters that would get some resolve and level up. So once something is at level 6, sure, you bring them around for the Darkest Dungeon run, sure, you bring them around for the big fights, but that's pretty much it. You don't go crazy with it, you don't waste a lot of resources. It does kind of feel like 3 of those is better to have. And honestly, running low on torches is not as big of a deal as it might seem sometimes. Because the last run we did, we kind of struggled from that. And yeah, it doesn't seem like any of this is ever going to get any cheaper, unfortunately. Like, if it did become cheaper, that would be really, really nice. And we know that at some point, torches will be more efficient, and at some point, food will start by default, which will save us a little bit of money, but not a lot. As far as this narrator talking, I no longer care what he has to say.
Is more terrible than I can describe.
I really just want to burn through these boss fights.
Sinew and bone.
And it's not going to be that easy, really. Because the way this is all going to burn down is almost certainly a case where the first level boss fights will be something we accomplish, and then we'll have to grind to unlock the second level boss fights, and then we'll probably have to grind more to unlock the shadow fade. Oh no, the attacks are in like the wrong place now. Interesting.
As the fiend falls,
one down.
A faint hope blossoms.
Ideally, it would be nice if we can kill this one too.
Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all.
It wouldn't be that crazy to suspect that there might not be much of an end game in this game, since so much of it is just this prolonged middle game and early game.
Maintain the offensive.
Let's see if that moves him closer. Yes, it did.
Decimated.
So, if we defeat all of the
These
enemies,
nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
like, if we defeat all the enemies in a specific area, guess we'll go this way. Like, although going here possibly is the better way, because if we get scouting here, then that might tell us if the boss fight is there versus the boss fight being there. Odds seem lower that the boss fight would be in this corner. Yeah. So, like, once we defeat all the bosses in a specific area, it may just be that that specific area is maxed out with a bunch of random events. And there may not be much of a value in doing those events other than to just generically grind.
Another abomination cleansed from our lands. Executed with impunity.
Yeah, and the generic grinding would really only exist to level up characters because characters died. And that could be a nightmare scenario, certainly, if you take on the darkest dungeon with a team of 4 level 6 characters. You either succeed or fail, but in some way are then not able to use that level 6 characters to defeat the next run, and then you just have to grind a new team up from level 2, level 3, or even all the way from level 0 on what could be a very large number of grindy missions that you'd have to do to level up. So at the very least, what you would like is, once a boss is defeated in a certain area, that there would be a entertaining challenge of some sort.
Ghoulish horrors, brought low and driven into the mud.
Like, yeah, you would want an entertaining challenge, but not particularly the most difficult challenge. And from that challenge, obstacle, let's go this way. And you would want that challenge to give you a massive amount of experience, like guaranteed 40 XP for doing a single challenge would be the biggest version of that thought, certainly. And maybe you do that by making it a super long dungeon that's apprentice level 1, but there's so many fights in a super long dungeon that you can... Well, no, it couldn't just be fights. It would have to be that you just get more resolve. No other questions asked, because fights individually aren't giving you resolve. They're just giving you items. And unless we increase the amount of items we can carry, getting more items isn't that helpful. And yeah, once all the buildings are potentially upgraded, getting upgrade materials may be unnecessary, and you may start dropping busts and crests and deeds.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Okay. So I want to go down here in the hopes that maybe this would scout that way and that way. Interesting, I right-clicked on that and it tried to use the torch on it, which was not my goal. My goal was to activate the torch and just increase the light level before doing anything else. And I think that probably highlights kind of the inconsistent nature of this interface. In a lot of ways, I wouldn't change the way anything visually looks here, although I would potentially look for maybe something more you could do with these side instead of just having art on the edges. Let's face it, almost everybody is playing in 16:9 or wider, so if this was to allow you to play at lower resolutions, that really isn't necessary in modern time. So it's not the user interface that's the problem as much as it is just the interconnected nature of what a button does or how you activate things. It's not as intuitive as it should be, and then when you want to get to like a character's screen here, it feels like something like this you shouldn't have to right click on a character as much as maybe just have a toggle button up here that would bring it in a square up this way so that you could see everything. Like break this in half and take this top part and put it over the screen like that. Of course that would block these characters, but honestly blocking these characters isn't even that big of a problem because they don't act without your commands anyways, for the most part. Sometimes they do if they're compulsive or fearful or something like that, but there is a lot of screen space being dedicated to very little happening in the 2/3 top of this. There's a lot of space that is just completely empty up here, where most of your interaction and elements that you actually would want to micromanage, if you're going to micromanage, are down in this bottom third. We'll just leave the gold. I guess the question should come down to, alright, so we found the boss, and so that means there's really no reason to go anywhere else. Okay, who has the most disarm? 70, 100, 110, 90. So, before we do anything else, let's make sure we're in the right order. Let's just use a lot of food. There we go. Like, we maybe overbought in shovels. Actually, come to think of it, why don't we just camp?
Gathered close in tenuous firelight and uneasy companionship.
Scouting ability, produce a random supply item. For 1 cost, we might consider that. All companions armor piercing for 15%. 1 companion can't be marked. We can reduce stress if we wanted to. Not that that's a big deal. Heal 20% HP all companions. Alright. So, these guys don't really have the most we could go with tracking. We can do that one. We can do armor piercing. Reducing stress. Scouting chance is not really necessary. Tracking. Give him a buff. See, then that would just be like pilfer. To give us a torch, why not? And yeah, this character only has 4 stress, so there's no big deal there. Now we do potentially have a nightmare fight again to have.
In radiance may we find victory.
But we did need to get through these anyway, so
and cries.
I guess the question here is that, are these snakes just going to get significantly bigger? Or can we take them out fairly quickly? Yeah, this Death Adder has a blight ability and does 3 damage. That's not really that much. There is just, obviously, a lot of fear that this character is going to get, despite having a buff to not get stress. But yeah, we had to get through this anyways. In a funny way, there is a real possibility I think you could get all the way through this game and just never really prefer to play with the resistance being moved there. Like Shield Breaker, or just not having the Shield Breaker DLC enabled, even if you own it.
The bigger the beast, the greater the glory.
So yeah, it does seem very missable.
A powerful blow.
That's
Success
3
so
of 7.
clearly in view. Or is it merely a trick of
Pause
the
now, I
light?
guess, if you want to read this. To get a nice amount of items. Let's look at this character here, though. Dancer's Foot Wraps, uncommon, 40% move resist, and 2 speed versus this, which is 10% protection and stress. By all means, let's switch that out. Here we have another Age of Scale, which we probably would not use. Forward we go. Oops. Walk right past a thing. Get that health up. These guys are just full health. How much is 8 worth? It's barely 40 gold, so just like selling all of that and then selling all of that for that is a way better reward.
Squirming, contorting, and ever expanding. This horror.
So this is a
made.
single character in 4 spaces that has 100 health. It is merged together as one character. So anything you attack seems to be the right thing to attack. Maybe if we like, it kind of doesn't feel like it has individual health. So I don't think you can kill any specific character. So if anything, just attack the foreground as the thing that's most likely to take damage and be hit. I assume that's the way this goes. It seems like it shifts into different types of monsters, and you'd have to visually just inspect the types of monsters. It is possible that some of these monsters also have different defenses, and so there might be an argument to really targeting one specific character just based on their visuals. But overall, this seems like this is an easy enough fight. I'm not really expecting anything here. Also, because Resolve is the only credit of value, it doesn't really make any sense to run around the rest of the dungeon looking for rewards. So we'll just end it after this fight and just move on to the next dungeon. Each of these runs is taking about 20 minutes anyways, at minimum 20 minutes. So as much time as you can save Effectively, we're trying to learn speedrunning tactics without going crazy and breaking the game to do speedrunning. And maybe you don't call that speedrunning as much as you just call that efficient gameplay and efficient time management.
Its destruction is a small consolation, given the implications of its terrible existence.
It does kind of highlight where this would be a better game.
Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
It would have been a better game, I think, if it had I wonder how much this is worth compared to this. Yeah, if this had been a mobile game, it would definitely feel like a different experience. If I was playing 1 or 2 runs every day over the course of a year. That being said, if this was going to be a mobile game, it would almost certainly have to have consistent updates more than it ever got. And it would have to have like special events and special weeks. This evasive +5 dodge is one to lock in. Although that was kind of a smaller run, so we may not get a
rare and exotic
lot of...
makes this place perfect for the study of suffering.
We may not have a lot of gold, but if the medical ward is free for this event, we need to take advantage of that by far. Okay. So then first thing, can we upgrade the medical ward anymore? No. So if I put this guy here and wanted to get rid of compulsiveness, I could. So the most expensive things are the things we want to get rid of. So if we wanted to say lock in balanced or lock in precise striker and then lose like off guard. Like love interest isn't even really that big of a deal, and kleptomania is not even that big of a deal. So that would be a decent free option versus, do we want to lock in anything here? Not so much. %, as a mankind hater, or balanced. Balanced is not a terrible one either. We could lock in here. Like weak grip doesn't even matter. Light sensitive kind of matters. No, I think you mostly want this guy though. Precise striker. And no, actually I do think this one is better. Move resist. And then that. Okay. Next. Is this going to be free too? To get rid of a tapeworm? just do that, I guess. The number of diseases that seem to stick does seem like it is way less. Or very possibly, again, that they may just not be able to treat all diseases. So yeah, that didn't even cost us a single penny. So I benefit from that event fairly well. We are still trying to save up enough to increase this. We really probably don't have that much to do otherwise. Like, I bet we can't upgrade anything else because everything is just so expensive now as far as the number of crests. This level 1 character definitely needs stress reduction. This character apparently can't stress reduce in probably anything other than a brothel. Maybe we could do that for 1,169, or that is actually worse, more expensive. And arguably, these characters don't really need their stress reduced. They could just be left in the city idle. We have no level 2s here. They can't upgrade anything here. So do we need, or can we do anything else? Do we end up with any new item? Legendary Bracer, 20% extra damage plus 10% stress, -1 speed. Even as a very rare, that doesn't really feel like that's a useful item. We can't upgrade that either. So yeah. We will just embark on the next run. Again, probably not taking like 2 level 6s and then a level 3 and a level 4 with us. What do we have as an option here? Champion level 5, which, do you ever really need to do this? Or to get this to the point where you would be able to fight a boss, can you just fight a boss? Veteran level 3, if we took a level 6 with us, wouldn't be the worst idea. So do we want to kill the Swine King? Yeah. If we get these holy relics, it would make All Saints Day. I don't know what that would do, though, as an event. Although I'm starting to wonder if we shouldn't always do something that would make an event trigger. Like, I thought the events were triggering on their own, but it's kind of fairly obvious now that I've always had the power and the control in that, and I've just not realized it because there's just so much on the screen visually that there's no way you really would have understood everything. Does this work Hmm. I guess is the question to ask here. If I bring this character into position and then level up another shield breaker, is that really what I want to do? I don't think it is. I think what I want to do is probably a Hellion instead. Yeah, because we have only one of those. And then we have a level 6 man-at-arms, so there is also an argument to have the Crusader and the Hellion, and then an Arbalist. We may have another Arbalist that's already at a max level too, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Okay, so this is find the... What did we decide that we were going to do? Yeah. We want to do this All Saints Day in the hope that the All Saints Day event actually means that we get the possibility of bringing back another character from the dead. If that is the All Saints Day event, then that would be great. It's kind of crazy that you can't just have like a standard loadout on this, because yeah, it would be fairly easy to have a standard loadout and say, let's always start with at least 16 torches and 24 food. I have about 3 characters who have died that if I could bring them back would
There is power in
make
symbols.
me feel a lot
Collect
more
the scattered
confident on
scraps
taking
of
on the
faith and
darkest
give comfort
dungeon.
to the masses.
I assume the scouting ability is combined amongst your entire team, and you don't have to click on a certain character to scout differently. But the game really fails to explain itself. Which is funny because I kind of have to assume that when this game was in its early access period, let's see if there's a secret lock in the bookcase. No. Alright, well then let's just search it. Yeah, you would kind of assume that when this game was in its early access phase, they very possibly were putting out more advertisement-like announcements talking about characters and talking about what those characters do and what their abilities are. And yet, none of that description seems to have made it into the final product. Almost certainly with a game this complicated, you would have had a lot of documentation internally or externally, at least internally, amongst the programmers and developers of the game. Unless, of course, this was all made by exactly one person who was doing everything, which is not really believable. There's too much art here, too much of a complicated programming system for it to have all been done by one person.
Continue the onslaught.
It could be done, certainly by one person, but I don't think it was.
Packs laden with loot are often low on supplies.
Alright. With the layout of this specific What's the health on this guy? Yeah, he's got the highest health. Urn of Ashes. Let's see what holy water does with that. Okay, who has the best disarm? 70, 70, 70. Wow. Nobody has much disarm at all.
Ambushed by foul invention.
It may be that the bookshelves themselves are curios that only have a guaranteed negative effect. Let's see. Is it bandages? Nope. Anti-venom? Nope. Medicine?
Finding the stuff is only the first test. Now it must be carried home.
It doesn't quite make as much logical sense as I would think it should.
Be gone, fiend. Back to the pit. Executed with impunity.
Basically a one-turn victory here. That there is definitely a danger that some of these low-level events that would trigger special estate events might become so easy that it's not worth your time.
As the fiend falls, a faint
At some point I will have like a maximum amount of space. Like almost certainly where you can only have like 30 characters, and if all the characters are over leveled past the point of really wanting to do a level 1 medium or level 1 long, that's gonna be annoying.
Wealth beyond measure, awarded to the brave and the foolhardy alike.
Well, our inventory is already full, so ideally it would be there would be a situation where we could send back our gold, send back our items after camping, but that's not in existence. That's one of the things that Torchlight, when it was for the first Torchlight game, was fairly revolutionary compared to Diablo, in that it gave you a pet that you could load up with resources and send back to the surface
Confidence surges as the
to
enemy
free your
crumbles.
inventory. Although inherently you don't need a character or pet that can either fight for you or go back to the surface and sell your items, your junk items. There are more reality-breaking, easier optimizations. Just being able to disassemble an item and get
Formation is
some
broken.
amount of gold,
Maintain the offensive.
or sell an item, or just more stacking on your inventory. Like the
In
idea
radiance,
of
may we
managing
find victory.
your inventory is this a holy relic? Okay.
The way is lit. The path is clear. We require only the strength to follow it.
This is going to be another one of these where we're going to have to end up selling a bunch of stuff. Yeah, at some level I could see the idea of wanting to have to limit the player in their inventory somewhat, but
Eradicated.
I think a lot of games do it far too much. It's hardly like we have limited computers. You could have 65 million keys in one slot and it wouldn't take up more RAM or hard drive space than a computer. It just feels like people think that would be an interesting gameplay mechanic to have to do resource management, or they feel like realism is the way people want for video games. But even in that case, if this game was trying to sell itself on realism, that falls out the window when you see skeleton guys and fighting you and cultists. Like, you're already stretching reality at that point.
Bubbling.
So why not have a magical bag of holding like Dungeons and Dragons, where you can just hold infinite amounts of
Precision
items?
and power. Be wary. Triumphant pride precipitates a dizzying fall.
I kind of hoped that would have done more. Suppose it is possible here that we would get the holy relics just in the hallways. Let's see. It does seem like this... Is this the estate? Or is this the Warrens that we're doing right now? Well, regardless, it seems to me like... Like it definitely is a case where this area has a lot of negative reaction. Curio, curio, curio. We'll have to go through a couple more rooms. Oh, you know what? I had a key and the shovel. I could have used either one. That was just stupidity on my part. Moving too fast. Move forward. Let's try a shovel on that just to see if that would do anything. Nope, just another blight disease, another negative response. There might be a concept or an algorithm in this that is giving more negative items because the area is so big, whereas it would otherwise be somewhat dangerous to
a handsome reward for a task well performed.
It would overwhelm the player with a lot of positive rewards otherwise. Again, we're back to these simplistic fights, which at a certain level, I think some games do this, and I don't think this game does. You would merge these three characters into one stronger character. Instead of having a spider and two maggots, why not just have one level 2 maggot that's a lot stronger? That potentially breaks the number of actions and cuts the number of actions down from 3 to 1. And it breaks what this game really wants to do, which is to always have 4-on-4 battles.
This expedition at least promises success.
We may eventually find out that some of these event quests don't matter.
Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage.
Right. Have we read a book here? Yeah, seems like the final item is in the exact last room, which is not super surprising. And so we'll take the second to last room to rest and do our survivalist. Really, I think more just to get rid of stress more than anything else. That way this could be the second team that we play with in the next run if we don't want to take instead a bunch of level 6 characters out to take on a boss. Still not really getting enough rewards to upgrade, so I kind of wonder if the big rewards aren't all kind of hidden in the boss fights. Or if the big rewards are just kind of random. Well, it also is definitely more of a case that
These nightmarish creatures can be felled. They can be beaten.
The rewards are maybe not getting smaller as much as the costs of upgrades are just getting higher and higher. Alright, well, let's take this and let's leave. Sell that. Take that. And yeah, no reason to stick around.
Tokens of hope. Recovered from the encroaching dark.
Very possibly All Saints Night will just let us use the Abbey for free. Which might really be useless. But we're getting 3 resolve, so not terrible. It's tough ability, we'd like to lock that in.
Take advantage of this faith-fueled charity.
Yep, All Saints Day
Will not last.
is not the one where you can bring people back to life. It's just you can use the Abbey. For free. Okay. So you put that one character for free. And then why not there. I could upgrade that, but that wouldn't help me any. Are we at a point? We still need 6 more portraits and a lot more crests. Level 2 Jester. Well, we have a level 3 Jester at this point. Level 2 Arbalist. We have a level 3 Arbalist. It doesn't hurt
Ye will be laughing
potentially
still
to
at the end.
hold those characters though. Could upgrade these, but there's no need. Stress itself is becoming less and less of an issue. We do have gold, so we should probably try and take some advantage of that. Like this character getting his diseases removed makes sense. This character getting his disease removed makes sense. We did see a new character that got tough. So locking that in for 6,000 doesn't sound like the worst idea. Even though that is a lot of money. Like, definitely that's a lot of money. Okay. If we sort by level, and we just make a quick check to see that everything here is upgraded, I imagine we will find everything is upgraded. Of course, you can't check these characters. I guess the question is, could I have reduced the cost before I started doing this? Yeah. Okay. So we got some upgrades there. Hopefully those are upgrades that are valuable. Do we have any items, new or old? Let's look at our Crusader character. Let's see. 20% stun skill. Sell one of those. And I guess we got as full of a use out of this as possible. Although it does also kind of highlight that if we had a fully open Abbey with more slots, I could have thrown more characters into getting potentially free stress release. Although it kinda doesn't matter. We're just not getting the resources that we would like to get. It's It's time, certainly. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by my phone there. To, I think, take it to the next level. Let's see. Can we do a level 3 veteran with these guys? Yes, they will be willing to let us take on the necromancer. Although, why not do the alluring siren instead, since this level seems to be higher. But level 3 versus level 3, it seems to be about the same. actually. Okay. And if we're gonna do this, though, we're gonna have to bring somebody with us. And that's gonna be the big if here. If we go this way, taking a level 1 would almost certainly get it killed, so it needs to be a level 3. So bring him into the fight. Make sure everybody is fairly equipped. Alright. This is a medium, which again may mean we need more than we think. Okay. So this probably isn't going to kill anybody.
In financial desperation, I struck a bargain with the ancient.
We've already heard this. Can we skip this? No.
Sacrifice when the moon
it's
was
the loading
right.
screen.
Their price was the delivery of an obscure idol, and one other item of more troubling portent. The pact struck. My newfound accomplices slipped silently beneath the brackish water. A fearful stirring at the edge of the torchlight betrayed a familiar witness, and gifted me with malign inspiration. I always wondered what became of the unfortunate little waif.
Like, more than likely we'll succeed here, and worst case scenario, this character dies, which is a little bit of a loss, but not really. The only real goal, though, I guess, would be to try and find the boss fight as fast as possible and make Emil get into the fight as fast as possible. Now he has the red plague. If we go through a bunch of fights, we'll probably get a bunch of rewards, which then might give us items that we can then spend. It seems like these characters have a fairly high scouting ability too, so that's going to lead to a potential high level of success. If we know exactly where to go.
Eradicated.
Of course, the problem with doing a run like this is all you're going to get is gold and resolve for this one character. Meanwhile, these characters may get stress and negative attributes after trying to reduce negative attributes. Like, theoretically, there is like a full 3 weeks, 4 weeks that you could go through to just remove negative attributes on one character. To get them ready for a Darkest Dungeon run. And who knows what the game really expects you to do in that meantime of those 4 weeks. Just leveling up your B team, I suppose, leveling up your C team. But if you have 30 level 6 characters, I don't know what you do at that point. There is only a maximum of 3 spots inside of the sanitarium. So, if you have 3 of your 4 level 6 characters for 4 weeks, removing 4 or 5 negative abilities,
is broken. Maintain the offensive.
You still would need another 4 weeks for your 4th character. And I really don't know if it isn't a case where the real goal here is to get positive abilities.
Another mariner, another misfortune.
Yeah, it may very well be a case that really you're just trying to get more positive abilities on your A team. This is interesting because this is like the first time we've seen just 4 of the same character. Although this is about the worst character that you would want to see 4 of.
Destroy them all.
Surprised, I think, means you miss your first move. Or you don't take your first move until everybody else does their first move on the other side. Stunned seemingly doesn't mean much of anything, though.
As the enemy crumbles.
It may slightly slow down the order of a character's movement, but it doesn't seem like it slows it down to even skip 1 turn. Stunned may mean that it can't react and do like a reposit, but so few characters do a reposit anyways. And that character being marked seemingly didn't do anything. And that may have been an attack.
Unbalanced.
That may have been a bad attack to use because it may be limited. We already have characters with health pretty low.
Give them no quarter.
I guess the question we should think about is there possibly a healing ability? So he just stole things with his kleptomaniacy. Obviously that doesn't happen that often, but even once is one time too many. Alright, if we were ever going to do anything here, I guess now would be the time. Wield Scrounger. Everybody's out of order now. Marked for death works. That character being in the background is probably a mistake. The fact that these are level 6 characters and they still seem to get a decent amount of stress maybe highlights that even a Darkest Dungeon run at level 6 isn't really that different. Like the characters may only have a single form, with a couple of characters having stronger forms, but those being rarer. And because the characters have only a single form, it may just be something more simple as
destroyed.
The higher the level, the quicker you end up.
Compassion is
the more health and the more damage and the more attack. see.
Annihilated. A trifling victory, but a
Everybody
victory
back.
nonetheless.
Let's try this guy. That's a new attribute that's positive. If anything, there might be an argument for going through the cove a lot more often, because it might have more statues that potentially have positive effects. And the potential to get positive effects is way more valuable than the risk of getting negative effects.
A brilliant confluence of skill and purpose.
I have no idea why it chose to say that at that point, but yeah, I have to admit some of this commentary doesn't make a lot of sense. I think I want to probably camp after this fight. It's probably a little early, but my inventory is full and my health is low. So if I don't camp, then I would have to spend a lot of food, which I could probably do that too.
Remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer.
Alright. So if I was to eat a bunch there and eat a bunch there, I think that works. Figure out it emits a marvelous aura and gives a buff. Next room. More kleptomania-y. Now, if I messed with this statue, I think that would be the one that summons a monstrosity. And since we're already in a boss fight, that wouldn't make a lot of sense to do that. Kill. Get that first strike. First kill. Try to stun or eliminate the debuffer. And so then you just have the heavy hitter with the high defense, and then the heavy hitter without the high defense. And they're in an odd order. You typically don't see it turn out that way, but we can probably work with that. His defense is high, so if a third level boss or even a second level boss is as high of a defense as this character's defense is, then we would be in real trouble. But there is a general desire, I think, in most game creators to not have bosses with massive amounts of defense because it turns into grind fests. I definitely remember there was one time where I played, I think it was Final Fantasy 3 or 5, one of the very early flat 2D Final Fantasy games, and I only played it for about an hour or so, and I was fighting a dragon that had a massive amount of defense and kept on healing, and I just kept on healing back and fighting backwards and forwards, and it took me over an hour just in that one battle to lose, to then realize that you were supposed to lose the battle to the dragon because it was at the beginning of the story. Thank goodness that game developers do not do things like that anymore, because that was a huge waste of time. Nobody really likes the idea
so too
of
will resistance.
Forced losses. Right. Okay. Move on to the next room. What this is doing, though, is it's wearing me down quite a bit. Enough that it is arguable that in this next room I should just camp.
Confusion, nerves,
because if I get a bonus that is going to last 4 fights, the odds that there would be 4 fights in this hallway, this room, this hallway before I got into that 4th fight are pretty low. This madman character is uniquely effective at messing up practically any team. More than even this debuff character.
The blood quickens.
But otherwise, I really don't have anything to say. So we're just sitting here in silence playing the game. And this certainly is, as a video game critic, the point you don't want to reach, where the game has just boiled into having nothing new to say about it and just into grindiness. Typically, if a game was going to be this long running and it was going to boil into this level of grindiness, I would potentially use them as like a live stream thing. Okay. Well, we can first of all sell that, because obviously that is better than that. Then 1,000 versus 500. Let's see if we can use that for that. And then get rid of the bandage for either the gold or the key. And you know, honestly, the key is better. This guy's kleptomania, see? Becoming a real problem. Although, also, kinda doesn't matter.
A spark without kindling is a goal without hope.
Okay. So our goal here would be to do like an all companions. improvement. And then after that, it's just going to be a question of maybe taking stress down. There you go. Stress at 37 is not really that big of a deal. And nobody has like a 1 respite item. So we've got a buff, we've got several buffs for the next 4 battles.
The way is lit, the path is clear.
Our fire is refilled.
Only the strength to follow it.
So now we just have to hope that the siren is here and not there, or not here, which I think the odds are pretty good. Still a lot of empty rooms, a lot of empty doorways, empty hallways. It does definitely feel like there was an early version of this game in which the hallways were always empty and didn't even have curios or attacks in them. Although, frankly, why even make the hallways if you weren't going to have that initial setup of having either items or random attacks? I would assume that random attacks and supply packs were always in the game, and then they slowly added some other varieties of items. In fact, the rooms themselves could have been secondary as a concept, and it could have just all been hallway connecting to hallway connecting to hallway. This is like the second time we've seen this character. We haven't seen the collector in a while either, and so I wonder if there is a limiting factor on how often you see the collector, or if it has to do with the fact that we fled from the collector. It might be that the collector shows up at random, and then the more you succeed with it, the more the chance of it randomly showing up increases. Or it might be that there's a specific character that you need in your team.
Prodigious size alone does not dissuade the sharpened blade.
Make the collector show up. That also is a possibility, I suppose. If anything, I suspect the snail might have the highest defense of all the non-boss characters in the game.
Seize this momentum. Push on to the task's end.
Forward we go. Can't take gold. Forward we go. Really long hallway.
The aquatic devils have remade the poor girl in their image. She is their queen and their slave.
Now, I think we may have fought this character before. At 179 health, that is a pretty high amount of health. Is there possibly something we should otherwise do? Like just to mark the target first. That probably isn't the worst thought. if I recall correctly, though, I think this character can copy herself, and that could be a nightmare. Or she can bring somebody over on her side, which bringing this weak character over to her side wouldn't be a terrible thought. Should we marked for 1 round? Should we mark her again? This guy doesn't have a self-heal, so there's kind of nothing else I can do. This is a kind of great point where you have the siren with the topless traditional thing there. Which is how they, traditionally have always been depicted. It's weird because, particularly the ESRB in the West, as far as how games get reviewed, are so based on puritanical, usually Judeo-Christian values, that a single exposed nipple here may have rated this game in for mature, where no other content in this game at all may have actually pushed it over the line from being a teen plus game. Of course, I'm playing this on PC and Steam, so I don't really pay any attention at all to ratings as an adult, but there is a weird danger, certainly, around doing it once. It's not even on a similar level of being able to say the F word once in a PG-13 movie. It's just like one cleavage shot, one nipple shot is enough to get that nudity tag on the SRB, and nudity by default, I think, pushes you into at least teen plus. I don't think you can have nudity in teen. It definitely, I don't think, can have it in PG or G or E for everyone, whatever it is labeled as in the SRB. Even if it is just, this is incidental.
Hideous matriarch, vile queen of the aquatic depths.
Of course,
she has no place in the sane world.
The fact that that's all I really have to say about that fight kind of highlights how that fight wasn't that good. We have a rare loot item, age-old plans for expanding the hamlet. They are consumed when constructing new buildings for the district. Blueprints are guarded by bosses, which inherently tells me for every boss I should be upgrading one part of the district, and I'm not really doing that. Alright, well,
The light, the promise
obviously
of
you
safety.
take a blueprint. I'm gonna give this guy all 4 pieces of food, if possible. Take this. Sell anything else. Take this. And return to Hamlet. Maybe there will be a way in which we start to get kind of random bosses to get more blueprints. But since you can't spend blueprints on anything other than upgrading a building, there really isn't a problem with having a finite amount of them. It gave me a ridiculous amount of crests and another item. And for our level 6 character, we now have Clotter, which we might want to lock in. We have Eldritch Hater, which maybe don't lock that in. Unholy Hater, which we want to lock in. And as for resolve, this guy got 8 resolve and survived. He also ended up with a disease. Noticeably, when you hover over that, though, you can't.
The plume and the pistol. A fitting end to my folly, and a curse upon us all.
So, yeah, no event. Some of these items, though, are not blueprints, so I have no idea what kind of maximum level boss you need to get this resource. Because it kind of looks like a bust, but I can't really tell what it is supposed to be. But this looks different than this, which is definitely different than this. Like a disease resist buff sounds great. Still, however, not anywhere close to having 300 of those or 60 of those. So, really can't upgrade anything anytime soon. If anything, it just once again makes the whole game feel like it is designed to be the grindiest long-running game that you would spend over a year playing. Can we exchange to get this? Yes, I think we can. So, crest for a painting seems not doable. It would be 6 gems for a painting. So the values seem to be different. 1, 2. Upgrade.
Every creature has a weakness. The wise hero trains for what she will face.
And then that now means that all of these characters could have extra attacks upgrades. But ideally, what we're looking for is the resources to upgrade this. I guess the real question is, if we were to blow our crystals, could we get enough? We need 7. Could we trade all of our crystals in the short run, which aren't doing us anything, for 7 of these? Yes, we could. Then we just need 1 crest, which, again, you might as well just use a crystal to get 2 crests and level that up.
More arrive, foolishly seeking fortune and glory in this domain of the damned.
And so that means this level 2 Crusader, for instance, can just be
Suffer not the lame
dropped
horse, nor the broken man.
for a level 2. That was actually a level 1 level 1 Crusader, I think. And that's really the only trades we'd want to do. We don't have any crests, so we pretty much know we can't do anything else. And so then it also is just going to be a matter of what quirks do we want to lock in. I cannot get rid of kleptomaniacy, but I can lock in irrepressible, but that's about all I can do. That's really expensive, and we know we can't really upgrade anything else, and we know we can't really build anything else. So once again, in the next episode, there's going to be a lot of just grinding up our level 2, level 3, level 4 characters, our B team, and doing 2, maybe even 3 runs with our B and C teams until we can take on another boss battle with our A team and defeat more bosses, just so we can say we've defeated more bosses. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.